And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the
classic. Time.
Hey guys, Alex back again with a new video. This time, I'm going to talk about 10 records that were stubborn to find for my collection. I've tried to get a mixture of genres here, so it's not all the same sort of stuff. And everything in this video has been found out in the wild, whether I've been abroad or at a record fair or wherever. All of these have been found out in the wild. So there are no online purchases here. There are no reissues, except for one, but again it was found out in the wild. But yeah, these are, like I said, 10. I've picked 10, and this video is actually inspired by Melinda Murphy. She did a very similar video. I think she showed more than 10, and she showed 7-inch records as well. But I've decided to steal the idea, and I've chosen 10 records that were stubborn to find from my collection based on my personal taste, obviously. All of which, like I said, have been found out in the wild. So let's get into this video. The first album that I've gone with is this, Kashif by Kashif from 1983. Now this album, I love this album, and for a good 4 years of collecting, I was looking for a good copy of this album. And I just couldn't find one. Yeah, it's perfect. And then at a record fair, one day, I suddenly find this. A vendor there had this album, and I almost just might as well just hand it in my wallet at that point. But yeah, Kashif, you don't see any of this boogie funk, synth, soul stuff. You really don't. This was such a stubborn album to find, because people that like it don't let go of it, and it's really crazy. It's got Stone Love on it, Help Yourself to My Love, one of the smoother songs on here. I Just Gotta Have You, which is one of my favorites. Rumors is probably my favorite song on this album. It's a brilliant song. But yeah, this album was such a hard one to find, and like I said, I've been looking for this one since I started collecting vinyl. This is one I've always loved, and finally found it late last year, sometime 2019, but it's one I just cannot stop spinning. So yeah, there's Kashif by Kashif. Here's one for all you new wave people out there, is the album So Red the Rose by Arcadia. Of course, they're one of the two bands formed when Duran Duran broke up. When they broke up, they formed two different bands. Two members went off with Robert Palmer and Bernard Edwards from Chic and formed the group The Power Station. The other members went off and formed Arcadia. Both bands only had one album out in 1985. Both of which are very stubborn to find. This is the only one of the two I have, but this was such a pain in the ass to find. And the only album they ever put out. It's a great one, but it's such a stubborn album to find. You've got songs like Election Day, The Flame, The Promise, El Diablo, all brilliant stuff. And I mean, if you like Duran Duran, you like New Wave, this is definitely a great one to try and track down, but it won't be easy. Really won't be easy. No, I should have said at the top of the video, but nothing in here is particularly rare. You just don't see them because people that like them typically don't let go of them. And this one stands the same. Jolene by Dolly Parton. This album, you'd never... every time I see Dolly Parton albums, they don't have Jolene or 9 to 5 on them. So, I mean, I just try and... I was almost floored when I found this. And This also has I Will Always Love You on it as well, which of course was famously covered by Whitney Houston. But yeah, this is an original, I believe, from the 70s. The only, yeah, 74. But of course, it is Dolly Parton. She has an incredible voice. She's still touring today. She's that brilliant. Well, obviously not today. We've got a pandemic going on, but you know what I mean. She's an incredible. She has some incredible songs. Some really, yeah, Dolly Parton's Jolene. You just don't see this album around. This was such a stubborn album to find, and I finally found it. But her stuff still played out a lot. You know, you get some people still listen to. I particularly still mix 9 to 5 and Islands in the Stream into my sets. So yeah, Dolly's still relevant, and this is easily my favourite from her, but was not an easy one to find. Next album up, again, this one's not particularly rare. This was not exactly rare, you just don't see it in good condition. Is Donald Byrd's Blackbird. I'm lucky to have a Japanese pressing of this album, but obviously because it's one of the more famous jazz funk albums that he put out, you know, you just can't go wrong with it. Yeah, it's Donald Byrd, Blackbird, from when was this album released? 1977. So yeah, a bit of a later one from Donald Byrd there, but very, very popular because of how much it's been sampled in the hip-hop world and just how good of an album it is. But again, one you just don't see in good condition. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky to have like I said, I'm very lucky to have a Japanese pressing of this Donald Byrd's Blackbird album. That was very, very stubborn to find. Next one. This is probably the album that would have inspired this video, and this is a reggae album. Now again, this is one of the cheaper reggae albums that you'll see, but you just do not see it. It's Gregory Isaacs' Night Nurse. I was looking for this for maybe 3 years or so, but because of how this is easily his most popular album, so again, you just do not see this album at all out in the wild, at least not in good shape or in good condition. This one's not the best, but I took what I could get for, you know, when it came through. Not an expensive album at all. Like, you'll find this for maybe under £10 maybe, or even £5. That's how cheap it is. But again, you just do not see this album in good condition, because people that liked it played it to death. It's just one of those albums. So yeah, Gregory Isaacs' Night Nurse, again another stubborn one to find. Another R&B album here, D-Train's You're the One for Me album. This has obviously You're the One for Me, Walk On By, Lucky Day, has D-Train theme on it, has Keep On, which is probably the song that introduced me to D-Train, and for that reason I was looking for this album, could never find it, and then one day I was on a digging trip in London and I found it, so happy days with there. The same store I actually got my Japanese pressing of Blackbird from, but that's another story for another time. This album, you never ever see D-Train stuff in my area. Like, it's just really, really hard to find. It's along the same lines as Kashif. It's synth soul, boogie funk. You just don't see these around at all, and for that reason I kind of had to pick this up, because I was mad. I mean, I have the all the D-Train stuff now that I really, really love, but again, you just do not see these around at all. But yeah, there's D-Train, You're the One for Me by D-Train, excuse me. But yeah, that's a great album. I think it is just called D-Train, this album, but it features those songs. So here's another one that again you will not see. It's just because this one you do see a lot, but you just don't see it in good condition. It's Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues, my favourite Talking Heads album. And again, I had to find this when I was in America in 2019, back in February of 2019, because that's how hard it is to find. Even here in the UK, you don't see these. This album's got Burning Down the House, Girlfriend is Better, Slippery People, even This Must Be the Place. Love that song. Yeah, this is easily my favourite Talking Heads album, and it's just one you never see in good condition. I'm lucky to have this American pressing, like I said, from when I was digging with Tim, DJ High Noons Vinyl, back in February of 2019. This next one was also from that trip in America, and it's Group Home, Living Proof. Now, this is kind of cheating a little bit because this is the only one of these albums that's a reissue. And at the time, we didn't have a reissue of this here in the UK. We only had originals, which you never ever saw. This is a hip-hop album produced by DJ Premier of Gangstar. Of course, it has the song Living Proof, the title track Living Proof, which is a great song. And Superstar as well are the two big songs off of this album. But this album, you just don't see it. It's not one you see every day. Like I said, we've only just had a reissue over here. I don't know how rare this is over in the States, but it's one you just, good luck finding it, because it's that popular of an album that you'll hardly ever see it. But yeah, and weirdly enough, the UK reissue is on white vinyl. Oh well. This is, I prefer this. I'll take that any day. But yeah. The next one, again, is kind of cheating because this album came out in the 90s. It's Sting, A 10 Summer's Tale. My favourite Sting album. But this, of course, from 1993. Fields of Gold, If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, 7 Days, It's Probably Me, Shape of My Heart. Just so many great songs on this album. And out of all the Police stuff, out of all the stuff you see from Sting, this is the album that you just never ever see. At least, not here. I don't know what things are like across the pond in America or where you are in your area, but from in here, original copies of this, you just don't see them. I don't even know if this has a reissue. It might do. Sting's 10 Summer's Tale, this was such a hard one to find, and the day I found this, it blew my socks off. But yeah, Sting, 10 Summer's Tale. Last album I'm going to show you is actually the most recent addition to my collection. And one that was also an inspiration for this, and I don't know what it's like in your area, but Donald Fagen's The Night Fly is such a hard album to find here in the UK. You never ever see these. Now this is kind of a cop-out because I did used to see these a lot, and then they sort of disappeared off the face of the earth once Walter Becker died in 2016. And people were starting to buy up all the Steely Dan related stuff. This sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. So that's kind of what I'm basing this off of. A few years ago it was very popular. You could find it everywhere. Now you won't find this for... You'll find this about £10-15 maybe when you see it in good shape, but it is a good album for sure. One that I definitely think deserves more credit, but at the end of the day, it's still really hard to find, at least in my area at the minute. But yeah, that's kind of what also inspired this video. But at the end of the day, it's Donald Fagen's The Night Fly. You just don't see these albums around at all anymore. So with that said and done, that's it for this video. Guys, thanks so much for tuning back into the channel. If you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And if she says to give it a thumbs up, then you better give it a thumbs up, because otherwise she's coming to your house. And when you go to sleep...
I can't, don't have a passport. That's showing your bumper.
That ruined that. I was about to say, she'll come to your house, and when you go to sleep, she's going to be under your bed.
like a creepy grandma.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said and done, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.